Hello everyone, this is Punita, a corporate trainer from Swanit Education, and this video is all about all the questions which are asked in the interview round of Accenture. So now all these questions are not just the only ones which are asked in Accenture round, but also these are some frequently asked questions for the HR or the PI round for different companies which do come for your college placements or off-campus placements as well. So let us go through all these questions. Now, the first question is, tell us about yourself and your family background. Now, this is a question which is the basic question and also the first question for most of the HR rounds. Now, you can of course tell each and everything about your personal and professional part, but then there is of course a format to do so, because HR not only wants to know what exactly you are as a person or as a professional person, but then also would like to know, are you able to explain each and everything about you with clarity? So clarity is something which is needed here, and for that I would be giving you a format which you can follow in order to give your introduction. So first, of course, you need to talk about your name. But then if the HR is saying you, like for an example, Punita, tell me something about yourself. So you need not to use your name Punita again. You just need to tell about, the meaning of my name is so, and then you can continue. But for an example, if the HR is asking you, okay, tell me something about yourself without using your name. In that case, you need to start with your name itself. So, how you'll explain is firstly your name, then from where you belong to, and what are you doing in the current city if it's different from wherever you belong to. Then you need to talk about your family. So now if it's about family background, you need to mention how many members are there in your family, who all they are, what are they into. I mean, are they into some profession or something else? You need to talk about that in detail, because the HR is again asking you, tell me about your family background as well, right? Then next comes about your education. When I say education, you need to start about your recent education first. Maybe something which you are pursuing right now, or which you have done recently. Then you can continue with the past education stuff. Next comes your skills. Now, skills you need to talk about in the technical aspect, right? When I say technical aspect, it should be more inclined towards the kind of job you are going into. Since Accenture is a company wherein you would be involved in all the technical things, for an example, software development, right? So you need to talk more about your skills into softwares. Once you are done with that, you can talk about your other skills as well. Next is internship. So you can talk about the internship which you have done at the time of college or maybe off campus, along with the projects. Also, the more you talk about your projects in detail, it would be really helpful for you. Then comes the achievements and the certifications part. Achievements, again, as per the priority, you need to mention them. First, you need to talk about your professional achievements. That is something related to your domain, to your expertise. Then you can talk about your other achievements as well. Uh, then comes your hobbies. Now, see, there are different ways of explaining hobbies as well. You need to explain them in a way that the HR assumes that you are not just good with whatever you like to do in your pastime, but also those things help you out somewhere in your career as well. For an example, there are people who say that they are very good at giving presentations in terms of their hobbies, and they love to do that, not just for the sake of doing it, but just because they want to do it when they don't have anything to do, I mean in their pastime. That's what hobbies is all about. Then next comes your aim in the life. So most of the candidates just complete or finish off their introduction only up till the hobbies. I believe you need to tell about your aim as well in your life. Now, this aim is all focused on your career. So maybe your aim in the life is to get into a business in future or maybe some other stuff, but please, you do not have to talk about all those things. You need to be very specific about your aim, because it should be focused on the kind of job you are aspiring for. It should be inclined to the job you are aspiring for. And when you're going for Accenture, it should be inclined towards that. If you're going for some other company, but again, it's into softwares, it's into technical, your aim should be inclined towards it. So, next question after introduction part is, walk us through your resume. Now, this is a very important question, and here the HR needs to know whether you are thorough with your resume or not, right? So, in this case, first of all, you should be very much aware in your resume whatever you have put. Like, sometimes what we tend to do is we put a lot of things in our resume, but we are again not sure what exactly those things are. So, if you have started with your resume, say suppose with the objective, you should be aware what you have written in the objective. So when you would be answering this question, you need to say that, sir or ma'am, in as per my objective, which is written on my resume too, it is, and then you talk about your objective. Next, talk about your education. Say suppose if it is something which is written on your resume. Third, if it's about skills or your professional experience, maybe if you are experienced, so you need to talk about that. Then again comes your achievements, your certification. So whatever is there on the resume, of course the HR won't be showing you the resume and telling you, go let me go through your resume. No, you should be aware about all the things which are there on the resume, and that too point by point. You need to be aware about all the pointers. You need to be aware about all the bullets that are given on the resume with an explanation, with all the details, right? Okay, so the next question is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? In this question, of course, you cannot give one designation to the HR, because every company has its own hierarchy. So you cannot say that you would be at a team lead position, or you would be at a manager position, or you would be at a CEO position. You need to talk more about your skills. Like for an example, you can say that, well, I would be really excited to get into the software industry, as I'm very much up for it as of now, and also would like to continue in the same sector for my life, for my career, for my profession. And of course, I want to reach at a position that would be good enough for me to prove my skills, whatever I have learned in these 5 years of journey. Uh, I would be looking for technical growth, professional growth, but not just that, I would also be looking for my personal growth as well, because 5 years is a big time. And in that, I need to prove myself both in terms of professional as well as personal growth. Also, I would like to attain some managerial skills, which maybe I learn while getting in touch with a lot of manager in this 5 years of journey. And again, last but not the least, I want to reach up to a place where I can really make a difference. So, whatever you're answering after 5 years, you're reaching a level that should be very confident, that should be very clear, which HR really wants to hear. Now, the next question is, what do you expect from Accenture as an employer? So, now when this question is asked by an employer, that what you are expecting from the employer here needs to know your mindset too. I mean, what is that which is really important for you to join a company? The HR is saying this to you indirectly by asking this question. So you need to talk more inclined to your skills, or maybe the kind of environment. What all answers you can give is, like for an example, you can say, I'm looking for a positive work environment, because I believe if I would be having positive people around me, positive ambience around me, I would of course be in a growing state. Second, you can say that, I'm looking for a learning and learning in terms of not just career but also in terms of personal aspects. So learning in terms of professional and personal growth. Next, you can say that I'm looking for trainings and mentorship whenever required, because I believe that when you are learning from your seniors, that is the best part of being into a job. So I would be, looking for time to time mentorships, time to time trainings, which will actually groom me as a person. Next is, why do you have such a low score in academics in 12th? So now this question can be asked not just for 12th, but maybe for your 10th marks, maybe for your, first semester, second semester, and so on. It can be asked anytime. Now, again, this is a question wherein already the HR has given a negative mark on you that you have some low scores. It is your responsibility to take it to a positive note. If you fear at that time, if you get nervous at that time, you are again making HR more negative about you. So, in that case, what you will do is you'll try to portray this answer in a positive form. Of course, you can tell honestly if there was some genuine problem because of which you were not able to um, get some higher scores. So, if it's that, you can tell about the genuine problem, maybe some health issues, maybe some other problems in your family. But if it is not like that, please talk something that makes positive. For an example, you can say I moved more into extracurricular activities when I was in 12th. Like I was involved in a lot of societies, I was involved in some activities, some extracurricular, co-curricular activities, and that's the reason I got diverted somehow during my exams as well, and I got low marks. Or you can say that there were some health issues or family issues. If it were there, you can talk about the same. Now, how you'll convert it into a positive aspect is, say that I really regret that I got some low scores, but of course I cannot change it as of now. But just to overcome it, now I'm trying my best to go through with my studies in the best possible way to attain some higher scores, and also to get placed in a good company that would be really great for my career. So this is how again you are putting a negative question in a positive way. See, interview is all about being positive each and every moment. So if you are converting every question into a positive way, that is the best part of the interview. Next question is, a lot of companies have visited your campus for recruitments. Why haven't you been placed yet? Now, this is a question again where the HR also wants to know whether you are placed in other companies or not. But if he talks to you directly, maybe you'll say that yes, you have been placed, if you have been placed into other companies as well. So, don't please don't tell the HR about your other offers if possible. Um, just because at that time HR would be again in a dilemma whether to give you the offer or not, because you can either reject the offer even after getting it from Accenture, because you do have other offers in your hand. So don't talk about the same. But yes, answering to this question, you need to say that yes, of course, sir, I have tried for other companies as well, which visited my campus, but maybe I was lacking somewhere. But just because of my constant efforts, just because of my consistent practice and training, which I'm getting and which I'm doing on myself, I am able to, crack the previous rounds or the initial rounds of your company, and this is how I have reached at this round. Otherwise it wasn't possible for other companies. Just because of my efforts and my practice, currently I'm here. So yeah, it was there in the past that I was not very much uh, you know aware about the recruitment process, or maybe about how I need to get selected, but now I have gone through all those processes, and I'm here. So I'll try my best to crack this interview. So the next question which comes up is, how did you decide about this career? Now, when something is asked about taking a decision, of course, you have to be very mature enough to answer the same, because you cannot say that you were forced to get into engineering or to get into BCA or any other, uh, you know, um, um, domain of education. So you cannot say about that. If it was there, then too you don't have to say about the same. What you need to answer is, uh, sir, if I tell you about my interest, I have always been interested into computer languages, into softwares, and when I was in 12th also, I was very much aware about few technologies, and I was very much interested to learn more about technologies, about softwares, and that's the reason I thought that choosing this career would be the best thing for me. So I started it from my education itself, and now I really want to pursue it. Next question is, what are your long term and short term goals? So, see, every person, every individual has his or her own long term and short term goals, maybe related to what kind of job you are aspiring for, or maybe not related to that. But here, when the HR is asking you, at the time of interview, you need to be very specific, inclined to whatever job you are aspiring for, I mean whatever interview you are giving for. So if it's about short term goals, it should be like uh, entering into a company which is a renowned company maybe, and if it's like Accenture, it would be an amazing journey for you, entering into the company with all your hard work, with all your efforts, and then learning whatever you are being trained upon. So that is what your short term goal can be. uh, it may be others as well, but then if inclined to the job, you can talk about the same. Then talking about your long term goal, you can talk about your uh, career growth, you can talk about your financial growth, you can talk about your personal growth into the same industry. So talk about the same industry. Please do not change the industry here. Otherwise, the HR will be in a situation that you are not even you're not very much sure where you want to go, because your short term goal is different from your long term goal. So you need to be very specific about the same. Next question is, state two of your weaknesses and strengths. So when such question is asked, first thing you need to be very much prepared about the same, because this is a question which is asked by a lot of companies. Now, say suppose you're talking about your strengths first. Say suppose you say leadership. I'm a good leader. You need to explain, you need to justify it with the help of an example, maybe any example wherein you acted as a leader. See, explanation is very much required. You should not only tell that, okay, these are my two strengths, these are my two weaknesses, and that's all. No, you need to be very much sure about whatever example you are giving to justify those strengths along with the weakness. Now, when it's easy to tell your strength, but when it comes to weakness, it becomes little difficult. Difficult why? Because you're talking something negative there. So when, as I told you earlier as well, when you're talking something negative, try to convert it in a positive manner. So for an example, you said that your weakness is you become restless when things are not in place, and you somehow try to be in a situation where you are feeling very uncomfortable just because things are not in place. So now how you'll convert it into a positive aspect is that, okay, this is my weakness, but now I'm trying to improve the same by being calm even if situations are not as per my expectation. Because if I'll get in a situation I'm becoming restless, in that case I'll also ruin the things which are coming to me in future. So what I try to do is I try to be calm enough so that I can handle the situation in a well manner, and try to improve myself on daily basis. So this is how you are improving, you are getting through your weakness. So whatever strengths and weakness you are telling, please make sure you are converting the weakness into a positive thing by saying that you are trying to improve yourself. Also, you can say how you're trying to improve yourself in that. Like for an example, someone says he or she is not good with the communication skills, but they are trying to improve them through some practice sessions, through some doing some communication with the colleagues, with the friends, with the faculties. So how exactly they are trying to solve the problems whichever they are having. Next question is, what is the meaning of your name? Now, this is something you should be very much aware about, not just only what is the meaning of the name, but also why this name you think suits you, or how can you connect with that name, right? So you should be very much aware about it. Next is, how did you perform in your written test? Now, this is a question which HR wants to know how positive you are for this interview as well. See, there are people who do get selected in their written test, but then again, they are not very much sure that okay, they really got selected. So this is the reason HR is asking you this question. You need to answer like, I believe, sir, it went really well because that's the reason I'm here for this round. Otherwise, I won't be able to crack the written test and come here. So I think, as per my understanding, my written test was good enough. Next is, if I were to ask one of your friends or professors to describe you, what would he or she say? This question is more about taking pride on yourself when you're answering it. Why? Because if you are positive enough for yourself, then only you would be able to make out what your friends and professors think about you. So, again, I don't think so. You need to put any negativity here. You can answer like, sir, I believe my friends are very much happy with me because I'm always there whenever they need me, and it's quite mutual because they are also there with me whenever I need them. And if I talk about my professors, I think they do have good expectations from me because I've always proved myself uh, good enough. I've always proved that yes, I'm a person who keeps on learning constantly, who keeps on giving constant efforts, and I really don't give up on situations. So I think they do have a positive image of mine, not just in terms of my studies or education, but also in terms of taking into consideration, taking also in terms of considering me as a person. So I think they have a very positive image of mine in their mind. Next is, are you planning to opt for further studies? So now this is a question again where the HR needs to be very sure whether he or she should hire you or not. When I say this, it means like, okay, there may be people who are planning for further studies, maybe after 2 years of gap, maybe after 3 years of gap, or maybe along with the job, whatever they want to get into. But then please do not tell this to the HR because HR needs to be very sure that you would be passionate only about the job wherein you are getting into it and not about any of the other things. So, if you're getting into studies, of course, you'll have to divert your mind towards studies as well along with the job, and you won't be able to perform well in the job. Also, there can be another situation that okay, you got into the job and then after a few months you realized that you need to go for education or for further studies and you leave the job. So this would be a question mark on your stability. So this is why I believe you should not speak more about your further studies. You can say no sir, as of now I'm not looking for any further studies. Next is, what is your dream company? So I would suggest don't give a name here as your dream company, like because for an example you are going for Accenture or any other company, and then you are talking about some XYZ company that this is my dream company. That won't be a good image because you are giving an interview in some other company and then your dream company is something else. So again the HR will be thinking, like for an example, you get that dream, you get an offer from that dream company, you would of course leave the present company, or you'll deny the offer from the present company. So don't tell a specific name about the dream company, but you can talk more about what your dream company would look like. For an example, what kind of environment you are looking for, what kind of profile you are looking for that company, and what kind of growth you are looking from, from that company. So talk more about the insights of the company rather taking the name of the company. Next is, have you ever had issues with your colleagues? Tell us how you have handled it. Uh, you can talk about any of the issue if you had with your colleague, but the important part of this question is about how you have handled the issue, right? So that is which is more important here. Why? Because HR wants to know, are you a person who takes the initiative whenever you have issues in a team or with the individual, or you try to be in a situation where other person should take an initiative and try to solve the problem. So here you need to talk that, okay, I had so and so issue, but then um, being a person who is always uh, up about taking initiatives and about solving problems, because you are a good problem solver, also a good decision maker. So you try to solve that problem by understanding the problem, talking to the person, because communication is something which is very much required whenever any issue takes place. So after effective communication, you try to solve the problem and now it's all well. So this is all you need to talk about your positive abilities related to decision making, related to problem solving, related to effective communication. Next is, how would you describe your ideal job? So, when the ideal job is, asked about, again, you do not need to put any designation there or name of the company there, but then you need to talk more about the environment there. Like, you want that the environment should be really positive in the company. Second, you are getting the personal growth as well as the career growth. Because, see, when you would be entering in a company at this stage, of course, technical skills are required, of course, professional abilities are required, but also you need to grow personally and mentally as well. Next is your financial expectations are met, because this is very practical. If you're getting into a job, your financial expectations should also meet. Also, whatever the job is, last but not the least, but then it should be a kind of job which you are excited to go for. Whenever you wake up in the morning, you are excited to go for the work and not like you are pushed or you are forced to go for the work. So it can be an ideal job for you wherein the work is as per your interest, so that each morning you are able to go to the work without any force or without any restriction and foundation. Next is, do you think you are a team player? Why? So, I think you need to talk every time positive about this question, that yes, you are a team player. Reason being, whenever you will be working in a corporate, whenever you will be going in a company, of course, you'll have to work with the team. If you're not able to work in a team, you won't be of any use to the company. So say, yes, I'm a good team player. Uh, you need to justify it by giving an example, maybe in any of the projects or maybe in any of the internships wherein you have worked with the team. You can talk more about the team members, that okay, there were 5 team members in the company, or when I was doing this project or in the internship, and you had a good bonding, not just professional but also personal, which helped you out to make good relations with those people. Uh, and the growth was also good whenever you were involved in that project or in that internship. So this is how you grew yourself as well and along with the other team members. Next is describe a situation where you were successful. How did you achieve your success? So now when the question is about describing any situation wherein you were successful, please talk about your achievements more. When I say achievements, achievements should be again inclined to whatever you might have done in college, which was related to your domain. That would add more points to your answer, because if you talk about an achievement which is related to your domain, it gives you some bonus points apart from talking about any other thing, any other achievement which is not related. Then how did you achieve your success? You need to be very much positive about yourself, that okay, you had some good people around you who were really positive, who really motivated you, or some faculties who really guided you, or your parents maybe. And Also, it was because of your constant efforts, it was because of your constant practice. And the last thing is a never give up attitude, which made you go through that success, which made you achieve that success, and this is how you achieved it, right? Next is, how will you manage a team under pressure? Now, this is a question where the HR needs to know your attitude when you will be handling a team, maybe. So, your managerial attitude is also being questioned here. So, in that case, what you'll do is, see, for any of the team, first thing is you need to be very much aware about their goals, and the individual goals should be aligned with the team goals. So for an example, if the individual goal is all about meeting the financial expectations, or or there is a benchmark which they need to clear, but they would be able to do that, and they won't be able to do that until and unless they are getting something positive personally out of it. So your team goals should be aligned with the individual goals as well, first thing. Second is, every person has a different way to handle. So when I say handle, it means every person uses different tools, every person has a different perception about handling the work. So you need to be very much aware about every person's situation, every person's perception about the work, and accordingly you need to get in touch with those people individually, because when it is a situation of pressure in a team, and then again you create more pressure by not understanding your individuals, by not understanding your teammates, it would be a worse situation. So you need to be very much aware about individuals perceptions so that you can help them out accordingly. Last but not the least is an effective communication, because this is something which is very much required in a team. So you need to be in touch with your team members each and every time whenever required, and it should be an effective communication. When I say effective communication, it means it should be very clear. There should not be any confusions when the work or the task is assigned. Also, to make all this process more effective, what you can do is you can appreciate these individuals by celebrating their achievements every time, no matter big or small, because celebrating achievement is something which gives us more motivation to go towards the work, and constant motivation while celebrating these achievements is something which will make your team more amazing. Next is, what philosophy guides you in your work? See, now there here the perception can be different with each individual, but something which is common I would like to share is a positive and a never give up attitude. This is a philosophy which every individual needs to practice, not just at the time of work but also at the time of education, at the time of other things wherever you are involved into. So one is the positive attitude. Another is a never give up attitude. Also, you can talk about your own perception apart from both of these points. Next is, why should we hire you for this role? Now, here you need to talk more about your skills, because, of course, there are other candidates as well, which HR has an option which can be hired for this role. So, for this, you must be very much aware about the job description as well, which has been given to you by the company, because in the job description you'll find certain skills which the company is looking for. So if you'll talk about your skills more in line to whatever skills are there in the JD, that is in the job description, it would be really helpful for you. So talk about the skills, like you do have all these skills which this company is looking for, and that's the reason you think you can be the right candidate for the company. And along with all those skills, you are a quick learner, you are a positive attitude person, and also whatever task is given to you, you do it with all your commitment, with all your honesty. So you're a person of commitment and honesty as well. Next is, how do you evaluate your own performance? So now here you need to be very modest with your answer, because if you'll try to boast about your answer, it won't be a positive impression of yours to the HR. Also, you should not be very much negative. So you can say, I would like to rate myself uh, 7 or 8 from out of 10, because I think I'm not still perfect. I have to learn a lot of things to go for. So I won't say that I would be rating myself 10 out of 10, but yes, somewhere between 7 or 8. This is what you can answer. Next is, do you have any other questions for us? Now, this is of course, the last question in any of the interview. Here, maybe you're not having any kind of question for the HR, but still I would suggest, please ask some question. Reason being, when you ask a question, the HR gets it into his mind that okay, you are really interested for this job, you are really interested for this company, and that's why you are curious enough to know more about the company or to know more about the job. So what you can say is, um, okay, I would really like to know more about the company hierarchy, maybe, or what kind of projects you work upon, or you can ask, like, when you would be entering into the company, how the promotions take place in the company. So you can talk more about the company. What would be the training duration, initially, and how our teams would be allotted after the training. So you can talk more about in terms of the company's aspect. So I believe these are the questions which are most frequently asked questions, and we have compiled all these questions from various portals which are frequently asked during the Accenture interview specifically. Otherwise, also these questions are the most frequently asked questions and the general questions for other interviews as well. So if you are able to prepare all these questions, we believe that yes, you would be able to go through the interview in a very better way. Also, there are some other questions as well, as you can see here. Uh, these are the questions which do have uh, individual perceptions. So, of course, I won't be able to answer you these questions in an elaborative manner, but yes, I would give you few techniques maybe to answer these questions. So, the first one is, what are your views on social networking? Is it helpful or harmful? Now, see, a candidate can have a perception that social networking is really not good for individuals, or a candidate can also have a perspective that okay, it is good for individuals because you do learn some great things as well. But then I believe the perception, whatever the perception you are having, you need to talk more about the positive answer, because again, these are the questions wherein the HR needs to know your thought process, your mindset, whether you take it positively or not. So I believe you need to talk more about the positive aspects. Next is, what is Make in India initiative? What are your views about it? For such questions, you need to be very much aware about the general knowledge. You need to be very much aware about the current affairs going on in the country or globally. So you need to be very thorough with the Make in India initiative, because this is a question which has been asked a lot of times by Accenture. So please have a look at it, what exactly Make in India is, how it started, who started it, and what are your views about it. Then list some of the current news headlines. So again, this is a question which changes on daily basis. So you need to be aware what exactly is going on in the country or in the world right now. You need to be aware about the current news and current affairs. Next, name our competitors and how are they different from us. So now when such question comes up, you need to be not just with Accenture, you need to be very much aware about the competitors of whichever company you are getting into. You'll find them, of course, online. So what are the companies which are competing with any X company for which you are going for an interview? And when they say how they are different from us, you need to be very positive about the company which you are going for, right? So you need to be very much positive about um, uh, the company which you are interviewing for rather than the other companies. So this would be a positive impression of yours on the HR or on the interviewer. Last question: if you face a problem with your own performance, what would you do? So you can say that first you'll try to analyze where the problem is, and after analyzing, you need to figure out how you can solve all those performance issues. So while analyzing, you will try to take feedback and reviews from other people as well, who you think would be good enough to answer your question, and after that you can try to improve it on instant basis. Also take help of your mentors, your faculties for the same. So I believe we are good with all these questions and answers which are frequently asked by Accenture and also by other companies. So these are made exclusively for the Accenture interviews. Thank you so much. And before leaving, I would say that you can, uh, you know, uh, subscribe our channel, that is Swanit Education on YouTube, and also you can click the bell icon so that you would be aware about all the videos that we post on frequent basis, which will really help you out not just to clear your interviews but also to grow you in terms of your aptitude or maybe into soft skills and other HR parts. Thank you so much.